So guys, without further ado, this is the second one right there. We're gonna get right into it. I know they were talking about the debt to GDP ratio, which of course is 106. I made a mistake and say 166. Of course, guys, that's what I thought they stated right there. But it's high, brothers and sisters, 106% in 2021. Debt forgiveness and everything was given that with the knowledge of debt decreasing. Debt forgiveness means debt decreasing. For those of you tuning into this video, if you want to check out the previous one, that link will be in the first comment in the comment box below. This is just a continuation of that vibrations right there, because I think a normal person need to know what is going on right there. I'm kind of giving like a highlight summary, even though sometimes it can be a little long, but you get the point right there, brothers and sisters. Let's go. So let me see if I can find what I'm looking for.
Assumptions behind the revenue estimates in particular are unknown. There are some mathematical impossibilities presented by some projections that provoke distrust. On to say, despite record CBI revenue, the sharp decline in tax revenue, an increase in health spending and social transfers
is amazing.
Led to large fiscal deficits in 2020 and 2021 and caused public debt to peak at an estimated 106% of GDP in 2020.
And you know who has to pay this debt, guys? You know who? The citizens. The citizens. The only other thing that can actually be used to pay the debt, according to what Lennox was saying earlier on in the previous video, guys, the only thing that can actually save is the CBI money is being used. The money is outside of the consolidated fund that can actually be used to pay off this debt. I think we have like a 1 point something or less than $1 billion in debt or something around that, 1.2 billion around that time, around that region right there in debt. But instead of using the CBI money to clear the debt so we can actually be in the surplus like send kids. No, we're not doing that. Because debt is a measure of keeping people down. And when the prime ministers they make decisions for the people of the country, and the people, remember, not the prime minister, they have to pay it, you know. The people who pay in VAT and all kind of something there, they have to put these monies towards the debts. They keep the people in debt when they can clear these debts. And allow the people to become self-sufficient, allowing them to gain what is known as empowerment. That is true empowerment right there. To remove the burden on the people. There's gas prices, they can subsidize this and bring down VAT like me and Motley them is doing. They cut 17.5 to 7.5, 10% decrease in VAT to lessen the burden on gas prices on the people. Because yes, I understand that the individuals or the prime minister them not necessarily can control what they're doing in the market. And because of what is going on across the world, they increasing prices, but you can definitely decrease the price in Dominica. But instead they live in the VAT the same amount, 15%. They live in the same amount. While other countries, you're looking to decrease their VAT on people to help decrease the pricing on the people because they realize that is a burden on the people. Decrease it. When you decrease that, it helps the people. But we're not seeing none of that in Dominica, and people not seeing that. But there's a particular point I want to get forward to you guys for you to understand.
The current account deficit estimate remained high at around 30% of GDP in 2020. Of over 400 million in 2020-2021 by the IMF, of $303 million per year, reported for July 26.
Guys, we'll skip that.
In 324 2021. But that $448 million is coming from the grant of passports to 531 people.
Okay.
310 citizenships this time is $895 or $586,955 per citizen. The estimates that the government has presented to this parliament for consideration. The revenue certificate of naturalization.
Okay, so you're talking about that.
According to the million per citizen, $35, half $1 million per citizen in 2021, 2022.
Guys, you guys can check this link below. I'm gonna go to the other one. I'm gonna go to the other one. I'm gonna go to the other one, guys.
In 2022, and happens were either destroyed or received substantial damage. The government embarked on its largest public sector investment program to rebuild critical infrastructure and housing.
And they did do that. The government did actually build some critical things. So yes, they did do that. That's one of the things that they do. My problem is not them building. Yes, they did build, but most of these buildings were done by foreigners. True or false? That is my problem. The initial process of building this stuff can be done by Dominicans, yet still they are contracting outside people.
The program of spending should have created a short-term boost in economic activity. However, it was highly partisan. There were no public tendering processes, and most, if not all, of the projects went to foreign-owned companies in special no-bid arrangements.
I just said that.
Only a relatively small fraction of the
40%,
labor, which averages at about 40% of the cost of construction of these projects, along with very small raw material purchases, went through citizens of Dominica into the domestic economy. Outsiders will handle the lion's.
You know what happens in Grenada, guys? In Grenada, one of my friends told me in Grenada, about 70 to 80%. That is based on the law. Even Chinese coming to build, everybody coming to build, whoever, 70 to 80% of the workforce must be Grenadian. Yet still in Dominica, they're telling you all kind of things, and they're telling you stuff like the Chinese have to build their own people. That is what that is what the contracts say, as if the Chinese cannot abide by what the law say. If the Chinese want to bring their people in Dominica, all the government them have to do is make a law and say 70 to 80% of the workforce must be from the locals. This is what creates economic wealth. This is what creates generational wealth. But if the people have money to make generational wealth, and you telling them of generational wealth for them to go in debt to have a house that you think that you say you subsidize, but of course it's very expensive, how does that create generational wealth? I mean, we not good in maths or something? We're not good in mathematics? I mean, it's one and one must give to you two. One and one must give you two, you know. It cannot give you 10 unless you cockeyed or something.
Share of the hundreds of millions of dollars spent on Dominica's public sector investment projects annually for the benefit of their economies.
Their economy is not ours. When you give the foreigners the majority of the money to go with it, it's not in Dominica they come in and spend it, no guys. It's not in Dominica they come in and spend it. If you give the local people, they will be able to buy more stuff in Dominica, thus creating a proper flowing capitalistic society. But you're not making the people have the money, you're giving it to foreigners instead, because you say that is their policy. Guys, if you don't travel and you know things, that is the same thing for a number of places in
all of these projects were duty-free.
In Barbados, man, I didn't want to. I was mentioning Barbados. I didn't want to, but even in Barbados, they put in the people first. If you have the ability to do, they put in you first. It's just like America. You can't just come and say you're doing everything everybody else doing. You know, if you have to have a unique ability for them to put you in front, a very unique ability. I know this.
Projects. Starving the government of its own revenue.
Because they're not giving them the taxes. They're allowing them to come duty free.
Interestingly, the large majority of them were CBI funded projects through CBI agent arrangements. Therefore, the government funded projects from citizenship revenues using agents,
CBI agents,
from the
CBI,
revenues, and then got a deal from the government to do the project tax-free.
Full circle. So it comes into the country true, and then it goes back to them tax-free. Are you just seeing what happening, boy?
Receive the infrastructure and the VAT levied on the few local importers and contractors. These projects were never intended to have the necessary multiplier effect
On the
in the
economy.
economy that is generally expected and achieved around the world.
So who do you think they are working for? Are they working for the people or are they working for themselves? Are they working against the people or are they working for these companies so they themselves can get a cut? And people seeing these things happening. I know because I was talking to them in Portsmouth. I talk to them and they say, yes, it's true. That government is something else, but it's my government. Your government doing your wickedness and you're just saying it's your government because they're doing your wickedness or because your family support them. This is why I don't support UWP. I don't support none of them. I lean more to UWP based on the things that they are saying. It's very clear. But I'm a classic liberal first and foremost. I understand the economy for the people. And when the people are failing, that means the economy is failing. It's very clear.
So although there are buildings and there are bridges, there was by design no real economic impact.
Because it's not, the money is not coming into Dominica. It's not going to the workers of Dominica. It's going to China who bringing back the money and send back the money. It's going to the Haitians, and they're sending back the money. Nothing wrong with the Haitians, get me wrong. But they're sending back the money. It's not staying in Dominica to circulate and help the economy. Money's going. I remember there was one Haitian who passed away. I think he passed away. And he passed away of starvation. When they found out in his pocket had hundreds of dollars in it. Because he's taking that money to send back home. It's not staying in the economy. And we still not letting our people have the precedence. And we wonder why Dominica is not doing well. Who do you think is causing it? It's the head. It's not the tail. It's not the belly. It's the head. Come on, people. Come on. They're taking away from you. They're taking away. They're giving you little breadcrumbs. Because they already give the bread to the foreigners. The breadcrumbs are remaining on the plate. They're giving it to you. And you're saying thank you because I'm not hungry. I'm not too hungry. I'm hungry, but not too hungry. But somebody's giving me a little dregs for me to eat that will keep me alive, that will keep me surviving. But there's a part in this that shocked me. I tell you, I want to get it to you guys, on this one. Of course.
From this huge expenditure of public money. Then COVID hit. March 2020. The world woke up to the harsh realization that we were in a global pandemic. The economic impact was sudden and will be long-lasting. Domestic economy, already severely battered, came to a screeching, painful halt with the war in Ukraine brought on by the pandemic, lockdowns, and hikes in the price of petroleum, which is priced into almost every product and service.
I was saying that I saw is that you can talk about them subsidizing decreasing VAT to help the people.
The result is global inflation. We import galloping inflation wholesale into an already weak and failing economy.
Yep.
Medium-sized entities, as the government has been unwilling and unable to meet the domestic challenges head-on. It continues to move forward steadfastly. A public sector investment program that was never designed to be the real foundation of economic activity. The administration has been unwilling and unable to provide qualitative easing policies outside of extending its social safety net programs in a highly partisan manner, even though the intention seems to have the entire country, with the exception of the privileged few friends and supporters.
And guess who paying for the gas, The citizens. The citizens are paying for the gas while they're making you pay the food price. You want to know how food tax is? It's taxation are taking care of the government, guys. When they're driving their vehicle up and down, you think it's their money, their salary they take in and drive up and down? Especially in government vehicle. We heard the other day that the son had the vehicle, the government vehicle, he crashed it. How do your son have government vehicle driving up and down?
On welfare, unable to work.
And you think...
Economic activity must be created through the private sector. Paid gratuitous lip service as the engine of growth by this administration for the past 22 years. Indeed, the policies that government has maintained to keep the private sector and the population on the manners have only drawn out the bitter suffering towards the same death. People are bawling.
Nurses, that is exactly what they were saying in the article.
As the Sun newspaper said.
I just see that there.
Importing goods that deliver to economic policy action to ensure good friends of the seas. On its face, that's great. Nothing wrong with that. It's noble. Until you recognize the potential negative impact on the state's traditional revenue streams in order to facilitate
Themselves.
catching march to dependency and away from self-reliance. The system, Mr. Speaker,
I just said that. The state that paying for them. Anyways, let's continue.
barrel business with more thorough analysis and imposition. Struggling, unemployed recipients of barrels were trying to help themselves in these harsh economic times. They put some other items in the barrels and they went to the side of the road to retail them in direct competition to established businesses who had to pay duty, to pay back income taxes, and they had to pay employees as well. Consequently, we saw sales migrating from the established private sector, or segments of it, to a special little tax-free retail sector spawned by government's failure to grow the economy and create sustainable employment.
Anyways, let's move on.
Are basic items everywhere. This is because there are just some things that cannot be imported in a barrel, and there isn't any liquidity or sales to make the bulk. And it is not working for the dynamic Dominica private sector model either. So more begging government to survive equals more partisan government handouts equals more votes to buy.
Yep, they're paying you for your vote by giving you breadcrumbs, and you're happy about that. You're happy. Yeah.
After its own devices after both of these examples. No hope or redress in a regulated space where the government had to, at the very least, was operating at higher risk than the regulators permitted. Approached their lending portfolio after such a massive shock. They simply contracted lending and starved recovery. The latter further exacerbated by COVID, where everyone got a few months off on mortgage payments, but there was no real strategy of assessing
Stimulus.
the critical sectors affected by the COVID lockdowns to really estimate and plan for expected credit losses.
Guys, you know what that could pop in my mind there? So during the whole Rona situation, they didn't give Dominicans stimulus package. They give them some bananas in some bag. They give farmers bananas in bag that they have on their farm. That's and dashing and stuff. They give some of them that stuff right there. They also gave, I think the World Bank sent out some monies for people who have lost their jobs and this kind of thing. So there was some monies outside that came into Dominica to help Dominica and whatnot. But I'm thinking to myself, based on the stimulus package that the Dominica government could have given as a result of CBI monies, that was non-existent. But during the same type of time, hard times, you know, guys, it's the same time that the government decided to build a mansion for themselves. To build a mansion for the third one. The third one.
The financial institution.
Not that I'm looking for.
Is still in the wind trying to fight over a larger share of a shrinking pie. That concedes this new dispensation from these overpriced loans. In the short term because people aren't able to afford it, and as persons see their liability rise or unable to move materially even with the effort to service, confidence in the space dwindles.
Like the nurses themselves, guys, I'll do a reaction on that, you know, no doubt about it. The nurses themselves said they had to leave Dominica because there's nowhere they could make it. Nurses! They have a nice salary in accordance to Dominica and the rest, well, in accordance to the rest of Dominicans. Their salary is pretty nice. nurses telling you that they cannot make it in Dominica, far less for those who making way less than them.
Even in a small economy like Dominica, is that we an increase.
Guys, I want to get that whole.
With its best efforts. However, pretending that it doesn't exist or does not have an effect isn't helping either. Government takes 18 cents on every dollar.
Oh, so it move up now. I say in 15, so it's 18 now.
Of petrol sold at its regulated price.
18%.
It allows a 4 cents on the dollar on the petrol dollar margin to both the wholesaler and the retailer. In other words, the government makes 10 cents more from every petrol dollar spent. Because
prices increase. I broke that down for you guys already, and I broke that down. If it was $100 before and you're getting 10%, and it's now $150 now, the government is going to be getting 10% at $15. 10% on $100 is $10. 10% on $150 is $15. The government not going down, it's going up, while the people have to bear it. So the government increasing revenue.
Must have and manipulation, because the whole cannot survive on the sacrifice of a few people are balling. It lost the purpose. New in money. The customs valuation unit is conducting and penalized businesses. Now, goods don't come off the port unless it is cleared by customs. So how do goods supposedly incorrectly cleared by customs become the fault and liability of the importer when the customs function is to ensure happen in the first place? People are balling. Because it is not in the name of the taxpayers, but accept the income that this expense created in contravention of Section 39 that clearly states as the main test that any expense incurred in the creation of the assessable income is allowable as a deduction. The cruise cost disallowed arbitrarily to meet some income quota of the government are impossible to collect because they're not doing. Unpaid tax liability situation that the private sector is earning taxable profits well in excess of the entire national budget, being relegated to a plug in the national budget with unprovable supporting assessments that cannot pass the muster of any tax court or tribunal. If this is not tax administration, every year,
guys, I'm trying to get it, man. I'm trying to get it.
Shrinking workforce and employer base.
I mentioned that a while ago, guys. I mentioned that the only reason why NEP came into effect was to prevent the unemployment rate from increasing. So they had to decide, hey, let's take some monies and see if we can put it in Dominican people to prevent the unemployment rate from going sky high. This is why any people working in the bank, any people working in the as cashiers, any people working on the road to help deplete the amount or the rise in unemployment. If it wasn't for any people, you're not any for you.
Benefits, either the benefits, reason why the got this benefit claim pool. But the narrative is that it is the fledgling private sector and not taken over by outside business concerns.
Guys, the reason why I'm skipping this far because it's pretty much the same thing he's saying, does use in different sectors. So
calculated before that built this. Now I see the light budget announces a removal of VAT on the surcharge from the 1st of August 2022. Now I see.
I have to clap because that is what I've been saying all the time. They need to remove it. But we don't know what percentage. They could say 1%,
Why was there VAT on the surcharge in the first place? If the surcharge is due to the cost of fuel, which is a zero-rated item, Why were we paying VAT on the fuel surcharge on our government bill?
Oh, that is Dominic. And I myself think it's gas free. Well, at least something. at least getting some, at least something.
And if the fuel surcharge isn't fuel, then why is it called the fuel surcharge? And what exactly is it?
Good question.
The electricity bills of $300 to $400 in the beginning of the year and now skyrocketed past $800 to $900. The state owns the company now. Government large. It runs teams. So, because people are balling, tall, this malignancy into sharper focus with questionable economic development practices, thoroughly unfit for the purpose of securing the foreign control system, the exclusive marketer of CBI.
Oh, look at that. Guys, look it. Thank God I get it. This is what I'm looking for, guys. I want you guys to pay attention to that. Pay attention.
That was instituted for the benefit of a few. Imagine the exclusive marketer of CBI.
One man.
Pick
MMCE. A while ago they were saying Nika mentioned his name, Anthony Hayden. But okay, let's forget names. One man.
up $182.7 million.
$182.7 million. One man that picked that up.
For CBI marketing in 2020.
$182.7 million. Mark you, eh?
And 2021.
One man. What is it?
The exclusive marketer of CBI picked up $182.7
million
for CBI marketing.
For CBI marketing.
And 2021.
2020 to 2021.
$22.5 million more than government's 2021
wages.
Entire wages.
What? So in other words, the government has to pay workers and everything like that. Wages, mark you, from 2020 to 2021, the whole year. You have to pay wages to the teachers, to whoever, public servants, all these people there. Wages, brothers and sisters. One man get $22.5 million more than the entire wage bill of Dominica. One man get $22.5 million more than the entire set wage bill of Dominica. Let that sink in.
Of $160.2 million. Now, we have untold amounts of our money from citizenship in the hands, out of the hands of the state, and at the mercy of mechanisms designed for the benefit of outsiders. So, Mrs. Speaker, in reality, it feels as though we don't know it, but the economy shrinks.
Guys, this is where I'm stopping right there. He went on to talk about, guys, the link of that will be in the description below. You guys can watch the whole thing. You wouldn't see me skipping stuff. You can watch the whole thing yourself. There was also a part where he mentioned about the Anthony Hayden situation where they gave $1 billion to MMCE, and they told him not to mention that company because he's not there to defend himself. That's what they were saying. Because apparently they fall out, and apparently the Prime Minister is now looking to the Chinese to then build the international airport. Guys, with all that said, I'm done. Check out the previous reaction I did with this one as well. That's it for this one. You guys can check out the links as well for yourself. But I'll be doing more on this whole thing and also reviewing the budget as well. And also talking about the nurses. I suspect tomorrow I'll be doing two reaction videos. So anyways, guys, with all that said, keep it locked on these vibrations. Definitely subscribe and turn on the post notifications so you can get all the videos as they tend to come through. And download the Mystelics Tube app. I'll see you guys in the next reaction video. Boom, bam. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment box below as well.